An Alabama man is in prison without the possibility of parole because he stole $9 in the 1980s. Put up his picture. This man is serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for stealing $9 in 1982. I want you to think about this. You know, there are people who are convicted of murder who do not have life without the possibility of parole. He can never get out of jail for stealing $9 in 1982. I was born in 1981. He's been in prison for my entire life. Let me give you the background. Put up his picture again. His name is Willie Junior Simmons, Mr. Simmons. While having a criminal record at the time, his 3 previous convictions were all non-violent offenses. This man never hurt anybody. However, because of those previous engagements with the criminal justice system, he was tried under Alabama's Habitual Felony Offender Act after the then 25-year-old Simmons committed his 4th crime in 1982. I'm going to give you the background to this. The governor needs to do something immediately to correct this injustice. Simmons had previously served nearly 10 months in 1975 and just shy of 16 months in 1979. Both sentences were for receiving stolen property. He was also sentenced to 3 years for grand larceny, 1979. His first crime had been committed before he was 18 years of age. Simmons was born into a poor household in Alabama. 1957 was the year. He had joined the U.S. Army after his earlier crimes, but became addicted to drugs while serving overseas. Addiction is a mental health issue. On the day of his arrest, he told Essence that he was high and looking for money to get his next fix. He tackled a man, wrestled him to the ground to steal his wallet. Inside, there was a paltry sum of $9. Simmons was caught and arrested only a few blocks away. In a trial that lasted a mere 25 minutes for the whole trial, Simmons was convicted of first-degree robbery. Simmons told Essence magazine that his court-appointed lawyer never called a single witness, nor sought a plea deal. Because of his previous convictions, he was treated as a habitual offender and given the maximum sentence, life, without the possibility of parole. You know, today we have things called specialty courts in our criminal justice system, including drug court. Drug court, and I'm thankful I have been an advocate for this and have helped implement and create multiple drug courts in America. Drug courts, they look at the why. Why did you do this offense? Because if we can attack the why, if we can somehow help you overcome the why, which is addiction, then the crime never happens. So that's what drug court is for. No specialization back then. And it was a black man, okay? In Alabama, they were ready to throw away the key. Criminal justice system working as it was intended, completely biased. So let's put up the governor, because right now, this is really the only person who can save our dear brother who should be out of prison. Simmons has repeatedly made appeals, but due to a 2014 change in the law, he will be unable to make further appeals. His only recourse is clemency from Governor Kay Ivey of Alabama. That is his last opportunity. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to publicly say, Governor, you know this ain't right. I say ain't intentionally. You know it ain't right. Do something. Yes, it will make some of your political base upset, but you are politically strong enough in Alabama to overcome it, okay? You can do this. Do the right thing. You'll feel better about yourself when you do. Numerous outlets and public figures have also called for his release, but all efforts have resulted, in denial, despite him being a model prisoner during the time he has served. 40 years later, at the age of 65, he remains behind bars. The Alabama chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union continues to call on the Alabama legislature to repeal the HFOA. Even if they repeal it, they would then have to create a special law to make it retroactive. What the legislature will likely do is repeal it for the future and not make it retroactive. That governor simply needs to affix a signature. Call it whatever you choose to call it, governor. Call it, a graceful exit, because he's an elderly man now. He has served 40 years. There are people who have committed double homicide and rape who will never get 40 years in prison. This is not justice. And everybody knows there's something terribly wrong with a man serving the rest of his life behind bars for stealing $9 because he had an addiction. He needed help, not prison. Farron, thoughts here?
So far, we're talking about 4.5 years per dollar. Per dollar that he stole. 4.5 years. And like you said, he is now an elderly man. His whole life, because of a couple mistakes in his youth, has been taken away from him. He has already served what should be considered a life sentence.
Yeah.
Because he can't have a career. He can't have a family. I mean, everything has already been taken away from this man. His life is taken away. And I think we have to start considering things like that. Forget the fact that obviously this was just an absolutely bogus show of a trial to just put another poor black man in Alabama in jail. That's obvious, but he can't get it back. That's what gets so frustrating, is you can't get it back. He is 65. Don't make this man die in prison because of $9. It's time for him to be released. This is beyond sick that we even have to have this conversation today, that we even have to reach out and try to beg Governor Kay Ivey to do something here, to do the right thing. We shouldn't have to do that, and we do. And this is just one of probably countless instances like this all over the country, where a man had a couple mistakes. Obviously, he had an addiction, but we didn't want to address the root problem. Yep. We just said, you do bad thing, go away forever. We don't ever have to deal with you again now. That solves our problem. No, it doesn't.
And he had ineffective counsel on top of all of that. His own advocate did not advocate for him. So we are going to continue to advocate for Mr. Simmons. We will advocate the governor's office directly. And let me say this to the Alabama Bar. Alabama Bar is a very powerful outfit, nonpartisan organization. You can take a stand here. You can write a resolution, make a statement. Also, other nonprofits can do the same. And for anyone who lives in Alabama in particular, this is not right. Contact the governor's office quickly. Express your concern, especially if you are a person who is affected or has been affected by the criminal justice system.